For the last month, since the shooting down in Florida, there's been this big debate. And this debate's actually been going on for years now, but it's much more in the public eye than it ever has been before. And that, of course, is arming teachers. And it pretty much seems to be split down the middle in this country, whether or not this is or isn't something we should do. People like myself on one side think it's a great idea. Look, we are basically forced to send our kids to school. And in many states, you don't have a choice. In states like where I live in Texas, I could, I guess, quit my job and homeschool my kids. But since I can't do that, I have to send them to school lest I get a knock on the door from the cops or CPS. So I think it's very fair to demand that our kids be protected in this scenario in which we were more or less forced to put them in. I want those kids protected. The other side of the country, of course, is coming down on the side that it's absolutely crazy to arm teachers. Putting more guns into school is simply going to add to more violence and more deaths. And teachers can't be trusted. I've heard arguments brought up by other teachers talking about how can I or any other teachers be trusted with a gun. There's some teachers, you know, they get so upset. What would happen if a gun was involved in some incident with a student? Well, if that's the case and you're worried about that, you shouldn't be a teacher anyway if you can't handle kids. Just like myself, I know I don't have the patience to be around a bunch of kids all the time and to deal with trying to teach them something. I just don't have that type of patience. That's why I'm not a teacher. Okay, if you're worried about yourself with a gun, worried about if you get into an argument with a student and you think, oh, I might pull this gun, then you really shouldn't be a teacher. And the thing I get upset about the most is, as I'm watching the news, which I know that's mistake number one, watching the news is obviously the surefire way to get yourself upset, but there's all these teachers that get put in front of the camera that talk about how ridiculous and dangerous and insane it is to arm teachers. We can't just throw guns at teachers. They have too much other stuff to worry about. What happens if it falls out? Where do we put it? What if somebody grabs it? And they come up with all these different things about why teachers shouldn't be forced to carry guns on campus. And that's the fallacy of the entire argument. Because not one single person who is advocating arming teachers is saying we should force teachers to be armed. All we are saying is that teachers who already are licensed by their state to carry a gun, whether that's open carry, concealed carry, whatever it is, allow them to carry on campus as well. They're already carrying all around you every day, in traffic, on the bus, at the mall, at the movies, you know, at Walmart, at the grocery store, around your apartment complex. These are people that are already licensed to carry, people that probably leave their guns in their vehicles before they go to work every day because they know they can't take it into the campus. Just let them go one more place with that gun that they're already trained to use. Look at this guy down in Florida, the coach that died, Aaron Feast, I believe is how you pronounce his name. I hope I'm not butchering that. He was a gun owner. He was the school resource officer, one of the security guards, but also an assistant coach, and he wasn't allowed to carry that day. He died putting his body between the shooter and a bunch of kids. This was a gun owner. And don't you think in that moment he would have prayed for anything to have been able to bring that gun to school that day? For the chance to not just be somebody that stood in the way to keep other kids from getting killed, but could put that shooter down before he went on and killed even more children. This is what we're talking about here. We're not talking about forcing teachers to carry. We're talking about giving them the opportunity, if they choose to, if they are trained to, if they are licensed by the state to, they can also carry that one place that they haven't been allowed to carry so far. And in a society where, again, we all but force our children to go to school, shouldn't you want that most precious thing in your life protected by somebody who's already trained and licensed to protect people? To be able to pull that gun and defend themselves and defend others around them? Don't you want your teacher that you hope and probably does already care about your kids to be able to be more than just a human shield that lasts for a few seconds before some horrible individual comes after your child? Wouldn't you want your teacher armed in that moment? I know I would. All I'm saying to all those teachers out there who I keep seeing popping up on the news talking about over and over and over again how stupid and insane and irresponsible it would be and how they show their true cowardice, in my opinion, on this subject, don't be a pussy on other people's behalf. Some people out there actually do want to stand up and stop things like this from happening. If you want to sit in the corner and cower, that's fine. Let others who have balls stand up and defend you and your children.